Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, and the single best way to make money in the exploration or the mining business is through a new discovery. And the size of that discovery is important because that's going to determine the path towards making that discovery. At Coppernico, we spent 9 years and nearly $40 million chasing an asset called Sombrero, which is our flagship project, and we're finally drilling it in the forefront of one of the most interesting copper markets that we'll see in our lifetime as we get towards electrification on the planet. I'll most certainly be making some forward-looking statements. As an explorationist and an entrepreneur in the exploration sector, I'll be commenting on some of our potentials of our project as well as the prices of copper that we see in the coming months going forward. We chose Peru as a place to explore back in 2015 due to the fact that it's the second largest producer of copper in the world. Some of the largest mines in the world exist in Peru, and it's also got uninterrupted mining history from a government standpoint, even though there's been several different presidents. Our project is in a direct analog to Las Bambas, the 11th largest copper producing mine in the world, and today I'm going to be making a case for why that's the case, and I'll explain a little bit of what we're seeing in our drilling going forward. About a year ago, we were able to achieve social access to this project. This was a long feat that was done through bringing in agricultural programs, which I'll touch on in a moment, but we were able to also attract Keenan Jennings to our board. He was the VP of Exploration for BHP, as well as MJ McQuay, who was VP of Operations from BHP. And the site and the line of everyone knows that great projects attract great people. We've got two of some of the best from one of the largest miners in the world that was pursuing our company or this asset as a possible investment over that time period. Teck Mining did win the bid to buy into our financing of $19.4 million that we did in May of this year. Company's currently funded into the middle of Q1 2026, and we're funded for at least 30 drill holes in that budget, and we're well on our way with the first 8 holes completed. We're about to list the company on the OTCQX. That should happen in the next 10 days, and then we'll be listed combined on the Toronto Stock Exchange as well as on the OTCQX in the US. Our team is built up of myself. I've got 24 years of doing this. I've been part of some great discoveries. I've been part of buying and selling companies publicly, and I've had a chance to be part of some great monetizing events. Alongside myself is our VP of X, Tim Kingsley. He's got over 19 years experience. He'd worked with Trevally recently. He's worked in Peru extensively, speaks fluent Spanish, and is very comfortable in the geology that we're exploring down there. And Christian Rios is also a key member of the team who has been part of some past discoveries, but he unlocked the social access for us in this region, which is one of the biggest achievements we've had so far to date. I'd say our culture is the strongest I've seen it out of all the companies I've been part of in my career, and we get a lot of help and support from the board as well, with some of the former BHP executives on the board and other experienced directors that are part of the team. When you look at our technical team, you're looking at people such as Keenan Antonio Ribas, who is the former VP of Geosciences for BHP. This gives us a lot of good senior mentorship and direction, but a chance to speak very disciplined about our project and act in a very good way and think about monetization and how to strategically position and move the asset forward as we go and explore for this major discovery. So this is the story. There's a very well-known belt called the Andahuaylas-Yari Belt. This hosts some of the larger discoveries or mines in Peru, Las Bambas being the most notable, number 11 in the world, Tintaya, Antacapai, Constancia. And what the perceived notion was that this belt trended north-south. Nobody thought it went over to the west. There was an iron and steel company that came in here looking for iron ore, and they were able to explore in an area where there were some erosional windows, and they discovered the first look at what could become the next part of this major belt. Sombrero in Spanish, sombrero means hat. That's exactly what that volcanic cover is doing on the western side of the belt, but through erosional windows and some very, very forward-looking geology thesis, we were able to get into a very, very opportunistic opportunity. Looking at this image at the top, this is the first things we saw when we got here, and outside of the grade, which is very encouraging because grade is king, we got to see some mineralized Eocene intrusions. That's the same era that all those mines on the eastern side of the belt were formed. We also got to see the Ferrobamba limestone, which is the most productive reactive limestone unit that's hosting and forming all those deposits next door. The project's seen about 23 years of exploration from the iron company doing bulk sampling for iron ore by Aceros Arequipa back in 2001. They drilled 8 holes in 2013, and they had all successfully intersected copper. Those of you who understand iron extraction, copper is a problem, and so they stopped at that point, and we first set foot on this project back in 2015. We moved this project ahead quite quickly. We almost got our drill permits back in 2020, but unfortunately COVID interrupted that, and it took about 3.5 years to get the permit after COVID. But we're finally there. We're finally drilling. As I stand up here, we're just starting our 9th hole on the project. Geologically, you're looking at a cluster. This is a plan view map on the left. You're looking at a cluster within an 18 by 6 kilometer footprint. This is about 5% of our land position. We have over 100,000 hectares. Everything about Sombrero is big. The cluster is impressive, but it's covered by that green volcanic cover. On the right, we're showing you a stratigraphy column, basically a slice of the earth, and you see a mineralized intrusion interacting with limestones in blue, as well as sediments, and that's where the skarn and purple mineralized events are occurring, and porphyries are forming, and all those those mines that are on the eastern side of the belt, they also are where all of our targets sit within our first area that we're exploring on the Sombrero project. This is a comparison showing you the scale of our intrusions and skarn targets in reference to Las Bambas, same scale map. You can see we're in the same scale as they are next door. We have an abundance more volcanic cover than they have on the eastern side of the belt, and that was one of the key reasons why we feel this opportunity was preserved outside of getting through the social access, which was also another big factor that preserved this opportunity for some time. So when looking at thin layers of cover, you've got to rely heavily on geophysics. We are working within this red box that's called our Cascabamba area. You're looking at chargeability on the left, which is identifying sulfides, and then you're looking at magnetics on the right, which is identifying the high-grade, potential high-grade exoskarn mineralization. They overlap extremely well in most areas. There's an abundance of targets. I've listed holes 4, 6, and 7. Hole 8 is just to the right of hole 7. We'll be releasing hole 4 this week. It's on the edge of a very big target, but it'll be the first insight for the market to see what we might be drilling and if this system could really go the distance. And so far from what we're seeing, we are very, very bullish about that potential outcome. The historical drill holes at Furaso are on the eastern side of the project. They also have a trench of over 200 meters of about 0.5% copper on surface. As we've had sporadic access to outcrop, you can see 109 meters of 0.67, of which 30 meters runs 1.86% copper as well. So no shortage of grade, a typical skarn system that's quite variable, but it's also offering extremely, extremely encouraging widths. Underneath that trench is where the 8 holes occur. You can see here that some of the intervals, they match what's on surface, 90 meters of 0.48 copper, 116 of 0.42 copper, 0.24 gold. This is right in the realm of a 0.5, 0.6 copper gold equivalent average grade. But these holes were not targeting copper, they were targeting iron. And as you can see in the photos, not only is the copper mineralization present in the oxides, but it's also present in the sulfides. So it takes down the potential of an enriched project. It has potential both at the roots deep in the sulfides as well. This is a plan view picture of our land position of where we're working. The best thing to take away from here is all the grade that you see sporadically through the system. We see great widths of high grade and lower grade. We also see a lot of rock samples over top of significant chargeability and magnetic targets that we have throughout the project, which increases our excitement, but it also makes it quite challenging. We have 7 kilometers of strike length that we're exploring here underneath a lot of grade on surface and also underneath a lot of cover. So in this map, we're starting to get a handle on the geology. We're showing you the structural lines where they exist. We were drilling at Ojota in the middle, lower middle part of the system. You can see holes 4, 6, and 7, and 8. You can see by this image alone that future holes are planned just south of that. They're on the edge of a big chargeability target, but it's a very, very robust area. We are moving the drill to Chumpi right now, which has magnetics as well as chargeability, but these targets, Ojota is 1.5 kilometers long. Chumpi has got a 2.7 kilometer long signal. These are substantial in size and have tremendous potential for a lot of mineralization. This is hole 4, and we drilled underneath a trench of 105 meters of 0.23% copper, 0.13 gold. You're looking at the hole going towards the edge of a chargeability target. We crossed on the right those red corridors of mineralization on surface. Although we feel we're parallel to structure, we hit some very impressive hematite, magnetite replacement of limestone. Then we got into sulfides, and the big thing to take away not only was chalcopyrite present, but we also saw multi-phases of mineralization. So it's been pulsing. It's a polyphase system. So the chance for endowment and exceptional mineralization is really high throughout the system. 7 kilometers north, you've got a cliff called Good Lucky. This is a perfect example of what we're targeting with the drill bit. You have the intrusion on the left, you have the limestones on the right, and in the middle you have the big skarn body. Those are mining adits 200 meters down the cliff. That's grade all over the surface and peripheral to the limestone. It's like we're seeing on all of our other targets. And lastly, if I covered up this cliff, you'd be walking over the volcanic cover, and you wouldn't know this is beneath. The volcanic cover ranges from 5 to 40 meters thick. The infrastructure is exceptional. We're drilling underneath mine power. We have water for exploring. We also have water for our production scenario. We have 2 communities nearby that do not impede or look at our targets. And we also have a road and moderate terrain so we can access this year-round with the drill bit. Social access was done through bringing in agriculture into the Andes. We brought an animal health specialist, we brought an agricultural engineer, and we went to the government and sponsored these programs, which involved a small investment for us, a big commitment from them, and then the communities invested as well, which makes it more sustainable. We brought in cows, we brought in sheep, we brought in fish farms to help the communities with their nutrition. About 400,000 so far in programs. We have another 4 million of programs that we're doing for neighboring communities to expand our footprint. This is a map of our communities. The green Huancasancos community is where we currently have access. We are drilling within that blue polygon. We can drill 49 holes off 38 pads. We are expanding that permit right now to 200 holes, and we're also expanding the size of the polygon to double. We're also adding the ability to add more drill rigs because of the confidence we're seeing in the first 8 holes. So a major system, huge targets, a lot of places to go, and the drill is actively working with excellent infrastructure. Share price or the share structure, 177 million shares out. We raised 19.4 million in May. We are funded through middle of Q1 2026. A lot of holes to drill with Newmont Tech as the major corporate investors. Management owns about 5% and institutional holders now own about 17%. This is a map of our share price performance. Most important part is we don't think it's correlating with the confidence we have in the drill bit, but we have to wait for our holes to come out to help rectify that chart. Holes 1 to 5 will be released here shortly, and 6 to 8 will be released before December, but expect batches of anywhere from 3 to 5 holes every month to 2 months for the next 12 months as we continue to explore this project. So in summary, this is an exceptional exploration asset. It's aligned with massive targets. Its analog is direct to one of the largest mines in the world. We are through the heavy part, which is the time to get the drill bit and the permitting. The drill's turning. We can add more rigs. We can drill more holes with the permits we're applying for now. So we're setting ourselves up for success. The alignment with the communities is paramount. It's one of our biggest assets besides our treasury, which gives us a chance to weather the short-term market conditions and get towards that bullish copper market that we think is in front of us. The leadership goes from the exploration team right up to the board with people from some of the largest companies in the world helping us direct this forward in the most intelligent way possible. And lastly, and one of the most important things besides a major discovery is when you make it, we think we're perfectly aligned with the outlook, the near and long-term outlook on copper. So thank you very much. That's my presentation.